Hello and welcome.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
We are on. It's a special episode of The Grid, and we've had some build up to this coming up for several days. And it said Larry Becker and Hilmar was going to be here, and Hilmar is sick, and we were going to have Mary Bell on as a guest, and now Mary Bell is doing a Hilmar impersonation.
Hola.
Mary Bell,
hi everyone.
Thanks so much for stepping in.
Thank
so that
you
it's
for
not
having
just
me.
me on camera. That would be a very bad thing.
Well, I am very excited and honored to be here. Larry, this is our first time meeting in person, so we followed each other on socials, but it is very, very nice to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, no kidding. And starting off with an episode of The Grid. This is going to be so much fun. I love Photoshop World. I have been to every single one of them, and that includes the changeover to the virtual version that we're doing this year as well. And I've been to all the live ones in all the different cities across the country where we've had Photoshop World. And what we're going to do today is go through what to expect this year, but also some of the great things that Photoshop World has been over the years. And you're going to hear from the instructors like Mary Bell and others. And you're going to hear what they have planned for Photoshop World this year. And that's coming up really soon. We have lots of giveaways, some prizes for you guys, and questions specifically for you guys as you're watching, wherever you're watching, because I know it's on multiple platforms. You can watch on KelbyOne, you can watch on Facebook, you can watch on YouTube. Wherever you're watching, we want you to comment. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're thinking about, memories about Photoshop World as we dive into all this. And we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be talking with those instructors from Photoshop World. Some of the people that are coming up in this episode of The Grid have been at Photoshop Worlds multiple times. Lots of really fantastic instructors. And we're going to hear from those folks as we get into this.
I'm really excited to hear from these instructors.
Yeah, it's going to be very good stuff. Okay, everybody, put on your seatbelts. It is time to get ready. And by the way, for those of you that are right now missing Scott and Eric, my apologies, but they will be back, I promise. And they're going to be here for Photoshop World and future episodes of The Grid. But today, it's all about Photoshop World. So we're going to jump in first by talking with one fantastic instructor. I have learned so much from this guy over the years, and he's a wonderful instructor that has some really unique ways to describe things. Very, a good instructor has those tools that they use when they're teaching. And this instructor is one of those people that has tools, and in fact, his teaching tools are actually named after him. They're called Sammonisms. Rick Sammon, I am so thrilled to have you on board today.
Hello.
Well, thank you so much. It's so great to be here, and I have to thank my mother for sending in that introduction. That was wonderful. My mother could not have done a better job. She's been gone a while, but anyway, Larry, it's so great to see you guys, and man, oh man, I'm psyched. I'm sure all the listeners are really psyched about. How many Photoshop Worlds have you been to? You said you've been to them all, or you stopped counting?
You know what? Some years there was one, but then they would do 2 a year, and so all of them. It's
right,
like
2 a year.
Yeah, so it's like 26 years. 26 years.
But wait, you only look 28 years old.
I agree.
Yeah, I've been touched up in Photoshop.
The guy doesn't age.
You're far too kind. All right, so Rick, I want to talk to you a little bit about what people can expect and help them understand the setup of, these are great, some images from previous Photoshop Worlds.
Yeah.
Rick has been so integral to Photoshop World and the breakout sessions and just having fun. So this year you have a couple classes for Photoshop World.
Yep.
And one of them is called Photography Cross Training.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what people can expect, and maybe even drop in a couple tips and tricks.
Sure. Well, you see, I have my sports shirt on, right? So today I went rowing in the morning, got up, went rowing. Then I went bike riding for about an hour, and then I'm going to go walking. So basically, to take care of my body, at my age, Larry, you're gonna know what this is like eventually. I'm doing cross training because I really want to stay healthy. So I came up with this thing that's called photography cross training. And what it is, it's about if you learn something in one area, you could apply it to another area. I sent some slides. I don't know if we're going to show them, but from my presentation. And actually, I'm so excited about this presentation because I really think photo cross training is the key. And the thing is, if you're good at one, stuff in one area and apply it to another area, you can really shoot and scoot. They call me the shoot and scoot photographer because I go in there and shoot because I've applied cross training. For example, if you're good at animal portraits and you know that you have to light the eyes, if you want the background out of focus to make the subject stand out, and if you're looking for gesture is so important in people photography and in wildlife photography. So if you're good at animal photography, you're good at people photography. If you're good at close-up food photography, and I know our friend Larry T is really into close-up food photography, and I have some pictures in my class that actually he inspired, you're probably good at close-up flower photography. So again, this whole thing about cross-training, I think it's really, really important, and it really speeds up the shooting process.
It's a wonderful insight, and it's something that's really going to help people. And I want to start to let people know a little bit about what you might start considering now. Because when you sign up for Photoshop World, there are 3 tracks going on at the same time. So which one do you go to? And the answer is you go to the one where you think you're going to have the most questions, because yes, we do these live streamed classes, and the instructors know what they're going to say, and they aren't going to stop in the middle of their class to answer questions. Right. It just doesn't work that way, even though, it's a live stream thing. But what they do have is the ability to ask the question. The attendees have the ability to ask questions in the chat, and then the instructors, as soon as a class wraps up, and Rick, I know you do this all the time, as soon as your class wraps up, you go in and look at what were the questions that popped up, and Rick answers those, and the other instructors do too. Right after the class wraps up, they answer the questions. Now, sometimes the questions you ask, the instructor kind of is working through a training flow, and the question gets answered as part of that class. But sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, those instructors come back and they do answer those afterwards. And it really does help. It's kind of like when we had the live, I would stick around after Rick's class, having just finished an hour with Rick, and I'd go up to the stage and wait in a little line of 2 or 3 people and say, okay, now when you were talking about this, how did this work? And how do you do that in Photoshop? That kind of thing. So it's that same thing at Photoshop World virtually.
Well, I think this is one of the greatest things about, and I talked to Scott and Erica and you about it, the community, like for all the classes and by the way, after this, Larry, I'm going to have more than 50 classes on KelbyOne. But anyway, at the bottom of the classes, it says discuss this class. And not everyone takes advantage of that, but with this KelbyOne community and with Photoshop World and all the classes, the attendees have a direct line to the instructor. I think that's one of the coolest things about KelbyOne, which is why I say KelbyOne's #1.
Well, it is. It is one of those very cool things, and it's always been a part of Photoshop World. And one of the things that I always liked in Photoshop World live and in person is in between classes, if the instructor wasn't racing from one class to another class, and you happen to catch an instructor in the hallway, the attendees would talk to the instructors. And that opportunity is also available in this kind of setup, because there's a bonus session on pre-conference day that evening. Rick, are you going to be able to be there?
I am going to be there, and the other thing is that some people new to Photoshop World Online, they may not know this, and I'm sure you're going to cover later, but I'll throw it in anyway. It's going to be available. Is this available for a year, just like the other classes?
Yeah.
I mean, a year. I mean, this is amazing. You get all these classes you can watch for 365 days. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll be able to come back and watch all the replays. It takes a little while for us to get them squared away, but then you'll get an email about a week after Photoshop World wraps up, and it says, here's where all the replays are, and they're going to be there available for a year.
Yeah, and I think that's a really excellent thing to kind of have in your back pocket, because sometimes you're in a class and there's another class that you kind of are curious about, and now you have the opportunity to watch that other class, as well as those of us, if you're working and, you're just unable to make the actual live broadcast. It's nice to go back and be able to replay it.
You know what? As you were speaking, and that's really a good point. That background, that close-up of you, kind of looks like my shirt, like in motion. Did you see that? Did you see that? They could go back to that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That looks like my shirt. I just have to move my shirt around.
I'm digging that shirt.
Okay, I expect us to get to Rick. Yeah. Okay. Rick, you do have another class planned as well, and the other class is Fun in Photoshop with AI filters, actions, and more. And it's really interesting. Some of the longtime photographers, you're a traditional photographer, and you've been doing this for decades, and you jumped on the AI bandwagon, and you've got, I think, the right attitude about AI. I'm really looking forward to this class. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for telling everyone that I've been doing this for decades.
Hey, I have too.
I think I am one of the oldest instructors. Anyway, here's an example. So, there are a lot of classes where people are going to talk about, 47 adjustment layers and things like that, and blending modes. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but my classes have fun in Photoshop. And, if the people watching this think about it, why did you get into photography? I think the answer is this. To have fun, right? You've got to have fun. So my classes have fun in Photoshop, using generative fill, generative expand, using the filters, using actions. The picture you see on the screen there, you have the original shot, you have a stretch version that I made with a generative expand. Now, I'll just throw in, if you're working for National Geographic, you're not going to show a picture like that. But this is having fun. The people who are watching, they got into it to have fun, but also to expand their creative horizons. And I think with Creative Expand, Generative Fill, all these other fun things, I think it's never been more exciting and more fun, and sometimes more challenging to be a photographer or an image maker.
Well, you've blended it all so well, and I've watched you change and evolve, and you're always staying on top of the technology, and I would say absolutely more than I am as far as Photoshop updates and AI and integrating and combining. And that's why I'm going to go to Rick's class, and I'm probably going to end up replaying it a few times. That's one of the other things that's so cool about the replay is you take the class, you take away what you think you've learned, you try and apply it, and then you go back and watch that same class in 2 weeks or 2 months. And you go, oh, I missed that one part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you pick up those extras, and it's a fantastic experience.
Well, Larry, Orson Welles said you have to watch a movie 3 times to get everything out of the movie that the director, wanted you to get. So with the classes, like you just said, and you brought up a good point, you might miss something. So you go back, and then this starts to all make sense, which ties into the photocross training too. What you learn in one area in Photoshop, you could apply to, another area in Photoshop or Lightroom.
Rick, I have learned so much from you over the years. I truly can't tell you how much I appreciate your time here today and your time helping out folks at Photoshop World. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys, and hopefully, I don't think I'm gonna be around for many more decades, but I'll be around for a while.
Oh, we're going to keep the recordings. You're going to be here forever.
You know what? That's great. I could talk. I could talk to people when I'm dead. This is maybe the best thing about KelbyOne.
Well,
That's awesome,
it was
Rick.
nice to meet you, virtually, and hopefully you might just kind of haunt my Photoshop editing if you come back to visit after you pass on.
Fantastic.
Hopefully you won't. You'll have many more years.
Thanks, guys. Hang in there.
Thanks, Rick, very much. What a fantastic experience. You're going to have so much fun. And he's just one of many wonderful instructors that we have for Photoshop World this year, 2024, the amazing Photoshop world. I want to tell you about a couple things that you want to know about as a Photoshop World attendee or potential attendee. And I also want to point out that we're giving away all kinds of prizes, and even somebody today is going to win a pass to Photoshop World. It's going to be great.
Yes, and that's really, really exciting. Just wait till you hear what we've got in store.
Yeah, we do have some fun stuff. We have a Platypod grip to give away, and that is this. It has won all kinds of attention and awards and things from professional photographers. So the grip is noted, and you can see it there on screen. The grip is just an awesome thing for holding your smartphone. It's got a couple of cold shoes on it. It's also ARCA compatible, so you can actually mount it into a standard ARCA compatible ball head. And I do that on a regular basic, on all kinds of different photography situations with my smartphone.
That's
you can
pretty
have it
cool.
vertical or horizontal.
Yeah.
And it's right here. It's mounted on a basic plate. All right. So
cool.
Here's what our first question is. We'd like to ask our people that are watching right now in the chat, wherever you're chatting, please answer this question. What do you love most about Photoshop World? Maybe you've attended before. Maybe this is your first time out and you're looking at the photoshopworld.com website. We are going to look through the comments, but tell us what you love about Photoshop World, and we're going to look through and pick a really good comment and give away that prize. We got more prizes coming up after this break.
How I describe Photoshop World to a friend, I would say a great place to gather, learn, and get to know people who are passionate about something you're passionate about as well.
Amazing. It's definitely fun. You get to meet a lot of new people. We also learn just amazing things with photography and graphic design.
The books, the resources, everything that's available, it just really makes your creativity flourish.
Photoshop World 2024, where imagination becomes reality. Come join us for 3 days of creativity, fun, and teaching. Discover the future of photo editing with the industry experts. Transform your photos with Photoshop fundamentals. Improve your Lightroom workflow. Dive into new AI, presets, and filters. Try next-level color techniques. Learn creative compositing. And improve portraits with advanced retouching. Your journey to extraordinary images starts here.
Wow, Santorini, amazing photography opportunities.
I'm telling you, it's like they made an island on the Aegean Sea just for photographers to take great photos. It's one of those places that you cannot come back with mediocre photos. You're going to have great photos, and I'm going to send you to 17 places, 16 places, and then my restaurant recommendation. Oh, the food. So in this course, I'm going to show you my very
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about what to expect at Photoshop World. Let's say you've been to one of the Photoshop Worlds in person, and now it's online and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure what to expect. I remember what this was like or that was like, and you want to know a little bit more about what to expect in Photoshop World online. So have you been to the online Photoshop World before?
I have, and I have also been to the in-person one.
Right.
And I can tell you that the best part and what I looked forward to the most live was the keynote. And fortunately, that hasn't changed. We are still going to have the keynote. It's always so informative, funny, and I really love kind of looking and seeing what is new on the horizon and what I can expect, and it's just always kind of just mind-blowing as to what is happening in the kind of photography and digital world.
Yeah, and one of the things I've always liked about the keynotes over the years is that Scott, kind of running everything that's going on, obviously, has this commitment to making sure it's entertaining and not a boring event. And that was always a fun thing. You can kind of see this going on screen as there's some of the replay from previous keynotes. It's always fun. It's funny. It's interesting. It relates to Photoshop and Photoshop World. There are special videos that are created for this. It is entertaining. So many people would go to conferences, and I'm one of them. I've been to all kinds of industry conferences in multiple industries, and they have a keynote, and you just go, oh, keynote, yawn. I don't want to go to that. And people would skip it, but not at Photoshop World. It was always energy and fun and interesting and entertaining and a lot of times silly.
Very silly. My favorite, and the one that jumps out at me, is the one where I believe it was they had hired like a sheriff and a police just showed up to someone's door because they were still using a mouse instead of transferring over and using like a tablet for editing. And I thought that was hilarious because the whole thing was about a mouse. And there it is. It was so funny. Like, it truly looked like the Cops, like the TV show Cops. And they were arresting people and just kind of scolding people on using a mouse. And quite frankly, I don't know how people can edit with mouse these days. Like, my wrists hurt.
True.
Yeah, I'm a pen girl all the way. What's your favorite, Larry?
I am a Wacom tablet user on a regular basis, and the latest one that I got is thanks to Hilmar. She actually had just come out, and it was a small one because I was used to medium, and I was always using a medium tablet, and Hilmar had a small one, and she showed me, and I'm like, oh, I want to move to the small tablet. It worked great for my workflow.
Absolutely.
And some of the big ones, a lot of people have that artistic arm and they really want to draw big, and I appreciate that, but I'm not that guy, and I like the way that the smaller tablet works. Okay, we're getting off on a tangent. I want to let you know that we're going to talk to some more instructors, and we're going to invite on our good friend Rob Sylvan to talk about a couple classes that are coming up. We've got more prizes. Make sure you're making lots of comments in the comments area. Talk about Photoshop World. There are a lot of people that are watching right now that are looking in the comments, and they have no Photoshop World experience. They don't have any frame of reference to know what this is about. So feel free to share your Photoshop World memories and stories and things that are going on with Photoshop World. And now let's talk with the man himself, Rob Sylvan. I have seen you at so many Photoshop Worlds, worked with you, read your books. Rob, it is great to have you here.
It's great to be here, Larry. Great to see you both. Mary, I don't think I've got to meet you in person. I feel like I have. This is one of those things where I've seen you online so much that I feel like I know you in person, but I don't think, unless you came up to the Lightroom Help Desk Live at last Photoshop. So,
oh man,
I realized
nice
this year is my 20th year of Photoshop World. My first one was in 2004, And here's something that doesn't happen, hopefully, again, is that we had a hurricane.
Oh,
And,
yeah, I remember that.
We had shut down, and we had to evacuate Orlando before it ended. And I drove all the way up to Atlanta to catch a flight out of there.
Wow.
So.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember. And we somehow adjusted class schedules and got everything handled and got everybody out like a half day early and still did all the classes. It was great. And the attendees were amazing. There's always something crazy going on at Photoshop World.
Yeah.
And that was a fun memory.
Yeah, well, luckily, you all in Florida, hurricanes are like, yeah, it's just another Monday.
It's just another
whatever.
day, right?
Yeah.
That's so true. Rob, you've got a couple classes this year at Photoshop World, and one of them is called Raw Defaults and Beyond. Give us a little peek at what's coming up with that.
Yeah, sure. So, since the beginning for me, I've been helping people with what was then called Lightroom, now Lightroom Classic, and still, the cloud version of Lightroom 2. And I really just love the kind of the bread and butter issues. I don't tend to do the real sexy editing stuff. I from just being on the help desk live and online, it's the things that help people in their workflow to spend less time, editing and more time shooting and getting the results that they want. So with this class, I really want to show people how you can do the best you can in Lightroom Classic to set things up so that the images start off looking as close as they did on the back of the camera when you were shooting.
Okay.
And then maybe kind of doing some things to help you move quickly from beyond there to get to that finished edit and get it out the door. So that's kind of one of the big goals of that class, is to just hit the ground running with a customized default setting that you choose, that you're in the driver's seat for.
Very cool. Rob, that's awesome. How many books have you written?
I don't know.
A lot then.
I'm updating my third edition of Lightroom Classic for Dummies right now. So that'll be out hopefully early next year. So that's the third version of that. The first time I wrote that was on Lightroom 2, way back.
Yeah, I remember it.
It's still called Lightroom. And then I've done a bunch of other ones on Nikon cameras, because I used to write for a really awesome series that Peachbit Press used to publish, the Snapshots to Great Shots, and I got to do a whole bunch of Nikon books, which was really fun doing those back in the heydays of the DSLR before phones came along and kind of took a bite out of that. And a few Photoshop things as well, and so I don't know, maybe a dozen or so. I'm no Rick Sammon.
Yeah, I know Rick's 50 books, man.
Yeah, he's insane.
He's knocking it out of the park.
He's a machine. He's a machine, and all his classes too on KelbyOne. I mean, he's just cranking out content. God bless him. He's amazing.
Speaking of books, I think that I might just have to get one of your Lightroom for Dummies book, Rob, because I need help with Lightroom. I don't use Lightroom very much. It's just not intuitive for me personally. And so whenever I do use it, it's an adventure.
So you're talking about that. I'm a Lightroom user, but not an expert level user. And Rob, I am so interested in your class called Mastering Folders and Collections in Lightroom Classic. I am definitely taking that.
This is another, just core concept that, let's face it, Lightroom Classic, the allure is the editing, right? Is you go into develop and you move things around and you hit presets and whatever, and your images look amazing. And that's where people want to spend their time. And it's very what you see is what you get, right? And not to say we can't learn how to improve that workflow, because obviously you can. But what happens is that people just kind of jump in, really excited to make their images look great, and they kind of just gloss over the whole management side of our photos. And the problem that eventually catches up with you is if something goes wrong, you may not know how to resolve it. So that class is really on making sure you understand the fundamental basics of what is that role of that folders panel? How does it connect to the actual files on your hard drive? What happens if you need to replace a hard drive? Because we always need to do that. At some point in your life, you're going to have to do that. Or you just need to expand to another drive. And how do you do that? Or you need to move files around or rename or whatever those basic like drudge things that you have to do over the course of your lifetime. I mean, I've been using Lightroom Classic, since it came out. And I've got files going back in there all the way to 2001. And yeah, that's a long-term commitment to managing files over multiple hard drives, multiple all the different computers I've gone through, all that kind of stuff. So really trying to help people just have a real sense of confidence on how they can be in the driver's seat for those things. Well, and then use collections too, because they're one of the most powerful parts of using that database-driven Lightroom Classic, and using those two together, because the collections panel is visible across all the other modules. It's really, really important to be able to use that, but also know how to manage your files on your hard drive too. So.
I truly was excited when I saw that in the list. And I would encourage everybody that's watching right now to go ahead to the PhotoshopWorld.com website and look at the classes that are coming up. It's no secret what the classes are going to be. There's track 1, 2, and 3, and then any given time frame for a class, there are going to be 2 other classes going on at the same time. So what you do is you have to pick which one you want to go to and see, and then the other 2 will be going on around the same time. And the important thing is that you get to watch all of them in playback for an entire year. And Rob, your class on mastering folders and collections, I am going to watch live and in replay, I'm sure, a bunch of times just to get it, because I want to make sure that I just bought a brand new 8 and a 12 terabyte drive just to try and manage some of my files on my computer and the history files that you were talking about. Rob, I want to get your insight, because we're doing a little thing with some giveaways and stuff. We actually had in the last segment a contest where we said, tell us something about a Photoshop World that you've attended, and we're going to give away the grip. So the Platypod grip. And our winner was Jane McKnight Bass. So let me tell you what Jane said. She said, when I attended, I loved getting to see that there was no one right way to do something. Every instructor had a different take on their art. It gave me the freedom to try. And so I would pose that question to you. You've been to a bunch of Photoshop Worlds. Any memories, any fun stuff that you recall?
Oh my God, so many. And that's a really good point, and that there's no one right way. And I think it's easy for all of us to kind of wish somebody would just tell me the one right way, but really there's a lot of right ways to do it. Some of my fondest memories are actually being down on the trade show floor and getting to talk to people about the ways that they do things, and getting to answer any questions that they have as they come up. And probably even more fun is all the late night stuff, the after hours activities that still happen on the online version too. So getting to kind of loosen your top button there and just have a little bit of fun. You are always just hilarious, pun master, and just getting to see Scott and other people, other instructors, just having a good time, goofing around, doing different things.
Yeah. So there are 3 days of Photoshop World plus the pre-conference day. And to your point, on the pre-conference day, I'm looking at it right now, there's something called the Meetup. It's going to happen from 6 to 7 p.m. And there are multiple instructors. We don't know. We don't have commitments from all the instructors yet on whether or not they're going to be attending. But is that something that you would recommend a new attendee go to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just, super informal. It's a way to just, the nice thing about, Photoshop World being online is obviously getting access to the recordings, because that's great. You can rewatch them. But the beauty is there's a lot of live things that do happen during those 3 days, and taking advantage of those just further gives you value to that experience. And you might make connections with other attendees that last year, I mean, I can't tell you how many people who are my real world friends now are people I've known through Photoshop World
Sure.
through all these years. And I look at the list of people who are teaching at Photoshop World now, myself included. We're all people who used to go to Photoshop World, and now we're also instructors. So it's really amazing just seeing how people have connected with Photoshop World, with KelbyOne, over all these years, who have learned from it and then are now giving back as instructors. And you never know who you meet, you might be that person. You might be inspired to become that person.
I agree. It is a wonderful experience. It's great to meet people as part of Photoshop World. And if you're even thinking about going to Photoshop World this year, you're going to like what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
There is a discount.
Wait, can I tell them?
Yeah, it's your turn, Mary Bell.
I'm so excited. Okay, so drum roll, please. I would like to say that we are also discounting Photoshop World tickets until midnight tonight. So we're discounting Photoshop World until midnight tonight, and we are telling you that you can save $120. Go to photoshopworld.com/thegrid and get your tickets. This is a great savings, and it's a really, really, really nice way to kind of say, hey, check us out, give us a try, and come see what Photoshop World is about. And I know you're going to have a great time. You're going to love it. Man, and you're going to really walk away with a lot of knowledge.
And it's only tonight. So photoshopworld.com/grid until midnight tonight. And I'm going to say midnight Eastern. I don't think it's Pacific. Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's the countdown. Rob Sylvan, thank you for making this segment so much fun and for allowing us to announce the special discounted pricing while you're here.
Pleasure.
And
My pleasure.
we're going to be giving away all kinds of other stuff. Mary Bell, look at that list over there of all the stuff we're giving away.
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
We got the digital photography book.
Yep, that's that.
That's this one here, right? Yep. And then, of course, we've got How Do I Do That in Lightroom?
Yep, there's that book.
And then, of course, How Do I Do That in Photoshop?
So we're giving those books away.
Yes,
we
two
also
books.
have On One No Noise, and we're giving away V-Flat from V-Flat World, and we've got what else do we have there?
That's a V-Flat World discount.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But we also, if you use the Kelby 10 at checkout, so just use the promo code Kelby10 to get a good, nice little 10%.
Oh, and that's
discount.
over at vflatworld.com.
At vflatworld.com, that's right. In addition to that, we have Retouch for Me Skin Tone. That's skin and then TONE.
Yeah.
You can enter the code KelbyOne20 at promo.retouchforme. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Promo.retouch4.
Then the number 4, yeah.
Then .me. That's right, number 4. And
Yep.
you will get a 20% discount.
Yeah, Retouch for Me is really cool software. I saw that at an industry trade show last year, and it looks very intriguing, and I will probably take advantage of that for the 20% discount. So it's www.promo.retouch, then the number 4, then .me. So that's what that discount is. And we also have a new sponsor from SlickPick. They are giving away one complimentary 1-year classic gallery plan. And the retail value on that is $60, and that's going to new customers only. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then also remember, of course, we're giving away a free pass to Photoshop World to somebody today based on the comments and the things that you guys are telling us in the chat.
How exciting.
And this time around, as we're getting ready to go to our next break, the question to you and the thing that you should write about in the comments is which class, or which topics sound like they're going to be the most exciting for you to see this year at Photoshop World. Go over to photoshopworld.com and you can look through the classes, see which one sounds the most exciting to you, make a comment on that, and we're going to pick one of those comments and give away a prize. And I don't know which one of the stack of prizes we're giving away. I'll tell you right after the break.
Photoshop World 2024, where imagination becomes reality. Come join us for 3 days of creativity, fun, and teaching. Discover the future of photo editing with the industry experts. Transform your photos with Photoshop fundamentals. Improve your Lightroom workflow. Dive into new AI, presets, and filters. Try next-level color techniques. Learn creative compositing. And improve portraits with advanced retouching. Your journey to extraordinary images starts here.
This class is a photographer's guide to Budapest. Now, I've learned a lot from my friend Scott about photography, location shoots, all kinds of stuff like that. Great restaurants, right?
Yes.
This is a fun class.
Oh, we're going to go to 17 different locations. If you're thinking of going to Hungary, and it is a wonderful, super photogenic, very, very fun city, and you want to come back with amazing pictures, 17 places, Larry. I'm going to take them to 17 locations. I'm going to say, here's where to shoot. Here's what the shot looks like. I've got some behind the scene photos. I've got maps to show you where to stand, where I took the picture, different angles. I'm going to give you insider tips. I'm even going to tell you where to eat. I got some good recommendations for restaurants because it's a foodie town. Woo, there's some good stuff there. And you know what else? Hungary is very inexpensive. As a country, it's one of the least expensive places that you can travel to. You're going to be shocked at how little things cost once you're there, and you're going to have a great time. And I'm going to make sure of it. I'm going to put you in the perfect spot to come back with killer shots that are make your friends so jealous that you'll probably won't be friends anymore. That's where it's going. All right, where do you find this class? It's exclusively at KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
And welcome back, everyone. This is, such an experience. I'm just so excited to talk about Photoshop World and also get to hear from some of our instructors.
Yeah.
And Larry, looks like we might have a winner.
We do. We have a winner of the How Do I Do That in Photoshop? And it is Scott Kelby's book. And I will make sure that the book that gets sent out is signed by me.
As it should be.
Yeah. So, but Scott's book, How Do I Do That in Photoshop, is going to someone from the chat named ST. And ST said, this year, I'm looking forward to learning more about AI editing. Boy, I'm on board with that. But as always, I enjoy learning new tips and tricks from all the instructors. I have been working with Photoshop since version 1. Wow. Yet there is so much still to learn. There is still so much more to learn. So ST, I would agree with you on all those points. Congratulations.
Yeah. And it's a cute little kind of nice compact book. You can just put it in any bag and take it with you to the beach or
those are
mountain climbing.
Those are the right size.
Yeah.
Very cool. And if you're under 30, a book is, they actually used to be printed on paper. They weren't on your iPhone. I mean, yeah, there's digital versions of these books, but there's something to the experience, the book and the bookmark experience. And
I'm a book person myself.
Yep, and you'll definitely like this book. How do I do that in Photoshop? All right, next up, we have another instructor, one of my absolute favorite people to have in my Facebook stream, because I'm scrolling Facebook all the time and I have lots of photographer friends in Facebook. And every time, I do not need to see this person's name. Her name is Deb Sandidge. I don't need to see her name or picture or a little emoji or anything. I see her shots of bird photography and I go, oh, there's a fresh one from Deb. Love that stuff.
Yes.
Deb, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Maribel. Good to see you both.
Yeah, likewise.
Now, Deb, you are a Nikon ambassador, am I correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been photographing?
Oh, how long? Many, many years. Wow, I'll give myself away.
Okay, you don't have to.
My parents had those little cameras, you know, the little Polaroid, so you could shake it, you know, some magic, and it would develop. So yeah, I was interested in that a long time ago, and then I got really interested in it, I'd say more seriously in the last 20 plus years, so 30 years.
You have really committed yourself to how to capture birds, avian photography, and your office even is dedicated to it. Would you tell people a little bit about that?
Oh,
because this is so cool.
It's so funny that you asked, because right at this moment, I actually have 2 cameras set up outside my window, and we're going to talk about this. There's a technique you can use called auto capture. So I'm just trying to find out what's out there right now. So I have 2 cameras pointed out at an area that birds will hopefully arrive. So it's been really fun. So I can kind of work a little bit and then turn around and go to the window and come back and shoot a little bit. Yep, there you go. Except now there's 2 cameras. That might be a little bit much, but it's a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you have bird seed and mealworms and things like that in your backyard staged, right?
I do. So I just put a tiny bit out in the morning, so it's not, you know, disruptive for the wildlife, and they will come. You know, they know, you know, they hear the screen door, so they'll come out there. It's really interesting. I would say this is the smaller type of birds. You know, I started with this more bird stuff. Really, I was really interested in it, I'd say around 2020 when we did more indoors things. Now I'm really into the outdoor birds. The wading birds really steal my heart. So I absolutely love working with that. So it sort of merged into that. So basically my whole Instagram is more birds, and where you'll find more landscapes and different things on X and other social media sites. But yes, a lot on Instagram.
Now, Deb, I am just so curious to know, I'm sure as other people are that are not in the bird photography community, can you tell us what in the world lens is that? That is massive.
Oh, okay, so that lens at that time was probably a 500. So right now, I'm sort of reconfiguring how I do. I like the long lenses. So primarily at this moment, I'm using a 400 millimeter f2.8 with a built-in teleconverter, so it can reach out to 560 millimeters. So I had that flexibility of getting a little farther. I was shooting the other day, and I noticed that there was a woodpecker way past where I was shooting, you know, 18 feet close. So I went ahead and I put the teleconverter on and shoot that. So that was really interesting. So I have that, and then I also have a 180 to 600 millimeter to get more of a wide shot. So that's something that I've been experimenting with, and watching these beautiful birds that are coming. We're starting some of the migratory birds, which are beautiful also.
That is amazing. I'm sure you're going to talk about this and much more during your Photoshop World course. So I couldn't wait. I just had to ask. I can't wait to kind of hear more about what you do and how you get to capture these beautiful, beautiful birds. Oh my God, look at that. That looks like a painting.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh. Yeah, Deb, your class is actually the avian portrait, flight, gestures, and beyond. So tell folks a little bit about what they can expect.
Well, I think that when people go into bird photography, they immediately think of flight. You've got to get a bird in flight. I mean, that's the all to end all. But really, what I've experienced, and I do a lot of videos, so I'm going to talk more about stills at this time. But the thing about it is to really be a good storyteller. You want to think about what stories you can provide, share, and also how you set this up. And then that picture that you have with the background photo, a lot of people ask me about that. How did you do that? Is that AI? Or did you Photoshop? How did you get those things to move? How did you get that water? But it's planning and scouting and thinking about the gear that I'm going to use and trying to find an environment that's going to best show off the birds. And so the background, people want to know about that. So that's something I really want to share. It's like, how do you get the background? How do you get a soft background? How do you get the reflections? So there's a lot of gear that goes into bringing it into the photo. So it's interesting to me. I think that the gesture is so important, but the flight, just the singular action of flight is beautiful. The wings are extended. So capturing the action, how do you do it? How fast of a shutter speed? What aperture do you need to be? What ISO? So those are the kind of little things. And it's not, these are things that you could really apply to any type of wildlife. The gesture, the action, the portrait, those things are going to be
such a wow.
It looks like cotton candy. Beautiful.
Bird, the roseate spoonbill, yes.
That is so incredible. It's gorgeous.
Yes. So the thing about that is just waiting for that moment, and also you get experience in seeing how the birds behave and waiting for that action and that gesture, and that's what I want to be able to record, that beautiful moment, whether it's a still or whether it's a video, or maybe it's a series of still. Maybe you're presenting your work as like a carousel on Instagram, and you're getting all these things. And something I really want to talk about is the in-between moments. You have the moment that your goal shot, but there's all these different things that happen between the next shot. How do you get those shots? And so I want to touch on a lot of the cameras. My cameras have what they call pre-release capture or auto capture. So these are things you can kind of work in to be able to get those things that you planned on shooting, but maybe you were afraid you might miss. So a variety of cameras have this feature. So yeah, we'll capture the in-between moments and become great storytellers.
Deb, I cannot wait to see your class.
Seriously.
And since it's at Photoshop World Online, I'm going to watch it 3 or 4 or 5 times because we can watch in replay. That's going to be fantastic. Deb, thank you so much for coming on to give folks a little preview of what they might expect when you're going to be teaching here at Photoshop World.
Thank you both. To see you soon.
Yes, you will. So one of the things that I wanted to let folks know about, there are a few extra things at Photoshop World that are a little different than just classes. And the classes are great. Obviously, we're all looking forward to that. But there are, and I've talked a little bit about the Keynote, right? You talked about the Keynote and the pre-con. There's also the meetup. That's at pre-con day. Then there are going to be a couple other fun things. Now, we talked a little bit about the theme and then the silliness of the themes and the funny videos.
Yes.
There's a collection of those videos. We've never done this except one other time, and it's going to be the Keynote Movie Film Fest. And it was just such a fun thing to watch replays of some of these silly ones from years past. That was such a hit.
I love it.
We are going to do that again this year. This whole thing is an incredible online experience where you get to watch past Keynote feature videos at the Film Fest. So we're going to do 4 or 5 of those previous year videos. So that'll be a lot of fun. And another thing that we're going to have is some bonus sessions. There are bonus learning sessions that will happen like on lunch hour and after hours. And there's another bonus session that we're going to do this year that's called Late Night with Larry. Oh. I'm actually doing kind of the Photoshop World version of an after hours, a late night show where I'm going to have on instructors and attendees, and there's going to be contests and prizes and other silliness after hours. That's going to happen after the Evening with Joe McNally. So the Evening with Joe McNally happens first, and then Late Night with Larry, Becker, and guests. And there is a promise with Larry's late night show. It's a guarantee, in fact. I guarantee you will not learn extra stuff. It's just going to be silliness and craziness and getting to know the instructors and attendees.
Yes, and I can tell you the best part about all of that is you get to watch it from the comfort of your own pajamas or the comfort of your own home at, eating a snack, and, you don't have to just, get dressed or anything. Just pop in and watch and enjoy and take notes and laugh and have fun, and that'll spark some creativity as well, not just the lessons, but also just kind of interacting with other instructors and seeing how they just their frame of mind and everything like that, and their sense of humor. So it's all fun. I really can't wait.
Very cool. Well, it's time for another break. We are going to give away another thing to people making wonderful comments, so definitely let us know this time out. What is your favorite Photoshop World event or memory? What thing happened? Write it in the comments. We're going to give something else away.
Can't wait.
I think this time it's some On1 software.
Photoshop World 2024, where imagination becomes reality. Come join us for 3 days of creativity, fun, and teaching. Discover the future of photo editing with the industry experts. Transform your photos with Photoshop fundamentals. Improve your Lightroom workflow. Dive into new AI, presets, and filters. Try next-level color techniques. Learn creative compositing. And improve portraits with advanced retouching. Your journey to extraordinary images starts here.
Hello, my name is John Dukes, and welcome to Washington, D.C., one of the most fascinating cities in all of the United States. Come join me and Larry Becker as we take you on a tour, a journey through one of the most fascinating cities in the world. We're going to look at some of the best tourist attractions of Washington, D.C., and also some of those under-the-radar spots that the tourists don't know about. We're going to have a lot of fun in this class as I talk with you about how to get some of the most epic shots, where to position your camera, what gear to use. We're going to cover a whole lot of stuff, but mostly we're going to have a whole lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching A Traveler's Guide to Washington, D.C. with John Dukes and Larry Becker on KelbyOne.com.
I am a portrait and wedding photographer based in Valencia, Spain.
I do mainly commercial and editorial photography, and I retouch up to 100 photos a month.
We shoot almost every day for all kinds of clients, such as commercial, beauty, and fashion. And we retouch our work more often, like every other day.
I used to spend over 1 hour for one photo.
If we want professional results, we must remove skin blemishes. do micro dodge and burn, highlight eyes, whiten teeth, and even reduce wrinkles in clothes. And this can easily take me up to 2 hours of work for each photo.
So when I saw that there's a plugin for Photoshop that helps you retouch quicker, I was eager to get my hands on it.
I read many feedbacks about it, and I found a lot of positive reviews, which made me to consider buying my first plugin.
One of the challenges we have at the end of a session or wedding is to achieve an edition in our photograph that look natural. This is where retouch for me has become a game changer.
I love the feature that you can pick how much effect it has on your photo and you can adjust it accordingly to your style.
I saved a lot of time and always end up having amazing result with my work.
I am extremely happy with the quality.
Now I am more efficient and have more time to spare with my family.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
All righty, we are back. Mary Bell, do everything.
Oh, what? Whoa.
All right, well, so this time out, we have yet another wonderful instructor, somebody who I have fantastic Photoshop World memories with. Her name is Karen Hutton. Karen, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I know you can't see me, but I know you can hear me.
That's true, and I can actually, in my mind, I see you.
And just project that on the screen. How about that?
Yeah, I wish I could. I was just talking with, before we came on, when we were during the break, we were doing some audio testing, and I was mentioning how much fun I always had with Karen, seeing her at the instructor dinner. And it was just such a great experience. I would always make sure to sit at her table at the instructor dinner. That was good stuff.
Oh my God, there you are.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
We've got a playback video of you on camera. So, okay, so you gotta fake the voiceover. Can you see?
I know. Can you? And then because that's what it looks like I'm saying. That's funny.
All right.
Really funny.
Well, Karen, you've got a couple classes this year at Photoshop World, and
I do, and they're really different. I'm really excited about them because I've never done these before. This is, well, I mean, I always try to make something new each time, but really never done these before, so I'm excited.
All right, so the first one that I have written down is landscape photography, ordinary to extraordinary. Tell folks a little bit about what to expect.
Well, that one was more in response to people wanting to know more about how I produce my own photos, which people seem to like. I mean, they use fun words like magical and, mystical and all this kind of thing. And I just always try to create photos based on how I felt and zhuzh it that way. So I'm showing some of my techniques, including the last one that I'm planning to do is one that kind of tips it over the edge into, you don't have to go this far, but I go this far. But it's still photography because I have another side of my work that is digital work. But this is just photography and just kind of how I like to produce the feels.
Okay, well that is something that I'm definitely looking forward to, and I love that I get to watch it more than once. I'll get to watch it in replay. Yay. One of the things I want to point out to people is as you're looking at the photoshopworld.com website and then you see a course description like what we had on screen just a moment ago, you can actually click the little arrow beside that and get a more complete description of the class. So you can see what these classes are going to be a little bit more about and see what the instructors have said in preparation for creating those classes so that you can pick which class you'd like to attend live. And if you tuned in a little bit late, one of my tips always for Photoshop World or really any of the KelbyOne events when we do two-day conferences and things like that, there are a lot of times there are multiple tracks going on at the same time. Now normally with a two-day KelbyOne event, it's track A and track B. But here at Photoshop World, it's going to be 3 simultaneous tracks. And the key is you want to go where you think you're going to have the most questions so that you can type those into the chat and ask those questions of the instructor while the instructor is teaching. And then when the instructor wraps up, a lot of times they'll go back and see, are there any questions that I didn't answer during the class that people came up with during the class, and they'll actually type in those replies. So I'm sure that, Karen, you're going to get some of those questions as well.
Yep. I'm sure, because my second class takes it, much further beyond photography.
I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, we're excited about that one.
Yeah, I decided to just tip the scale and take it places that people might not normally think of taking old photographs. You pull them out and you go, can I make a better photograph? Well, like in my case, I'm showing one that was not really a good photograph, but I like the colors and it had good memories. And then we go from there, and I take it places and like, hey, don't be afraid to play, and here's some tools. And that's the other thing, is I don't just talk about the philosophy of it. I'm actually showing the tools and how to, and tips about saving brushes. So I'm using brushes and layers and adjustment layers and some plugins and other external assets and papers, and it's really fun.
You're speaking my language, Karen. I
Right.
am all about. I'm so excited about. I am all about that, and I think that others will be as well. Just knowing that they can now find new purpose for old images and your images. I saw a couple right before the broadcast, and wow, I really could not believe what you can do with an old image and just turn it into a beautiful. It looks like fine artwork. It is. Amazing.
Exactly. And the fun thing about doing that with photos is that even if you have, like in my case, I got some pretty crappy photos, but the light values are there, the colors are there. Even if it wasn't a successful, in quote, photograph, it's like everything had something, whether it was the light or the color or the contrast or something. And those values, even if you really convert it into something else, they stay. So it's really fun to use your photographs as the basis for something else wild and crazy.
Karen, you are going to be one of the standout instructors, I'm sure. Oh, come on. If you weren't so good at this, we wouldn't keep inviting you back to Photoshop World again and again and again.
Seriously.
Happens a lot. And that's because our popular instructors get invited back. So we are thrilled to have you back again this year.
Well, I'm stoked to be there. I love Photoshop World. I love KelbyOne. I love you guys. And I just wish we could sit down and have some deep conversation over dinner like before. But that will be coming in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I'm looking forward to seeing you somewhere in the photography world. But definitely until then, Photoshop World, I'm going to see you there online. I'll be in your classes, and I look forward to taking those. Karen, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks, guys. Love you, and see you around campus.
Great seeing you, Karen.
Yes, you will.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And I just wanted to remind everyone that Photoshop World is online, and it's on sale. There's a discount going on today. I believe it's $120 off until midnight tonight. So, jump on it.
PhotoshopWorld.com/grid. And make sure grid is typed all lowercase. PhotoshopWorld.com/grid until midnight tonight. And I can tell you, we didn't even have that planned. They just pulled that together for this episode of The Grid.
Yep.
Right before we went on air.
Literally right before we went on air. It was late breaking news, Larry.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there are going to be some really great things. I got some other comments that came through in the last session. Stu Greenberg says, my KelbyOne membership has been my single best investment in my photography. And I'm sure he means right after buying a camera. I just won another award on a photo I took during a KelbyOne workshop. That's cool. I love that.
I can certainly relate to that myself.
Okay, and you see this next one?
Yeah, let's see. Susie Q. I love that Photoshop World Online gives you the opportunity to attend all of the classes to find the style that suits you best. And I could not agree with you more. Sometimes you don't quite know what kind of style you want to focus on because you love a little bit of a lot. And so learning a little bit more about what a certain genre entails really helps you decide if this is something that you really want to keep pursuing at a deeper level or not.
I love Photoshop World because it is still committed to that full training. It's, yeah, there's a place in our life for video shorts or a 6-minute answer to how do you change this setting or that setting in this software, or how do you change your spark plugs in this car, or that kind of thing. But there's something special about Photoshop World when instructors are so committed to developing their full hour class. What are you teaching?
I am teaching, let's see, something with fine art, of course. It's very kind of whimsical, if you will. It will be kind of romanticized, if you will. So it'll be a portraiture class, of course. And in my usual kind of style that I get asked to teach so much. I don't recall the name of it quite now. I'm sure it's there.
Your class is called
Enchanted Stories. Of course it's called Enchanted. My stuff is kind of enchanted, if you will. I think there was a person online, and I know there was, that said something about going in and giving you the freedom to pick and choose and create art. That photography is not just one way of doing things. It's about the freedom, and Photoshop World kind of really grows and helps to kind of demonstrate that. And so with that is exactly what I will be teaching. It's more about the freedom to create and using your camera as a tool to create.
Mary Bella is going to be a great instructor. And let me just share my strange observation about portraiture and portrait photography in general. So for a lot of years, I did classes about cameras. I reviewed cameras for B&H Photo. I did a lot of things in the tech. And then, I'm working in the office where Scott would come in and he's got something new that he would teach. And I'd learn a lot from Scott over the years, from books of Scott's or just talking with him. And so I've learned a lot from a lot of wonderful instructors. And as I'm looking at the greatness of, Deb Sandidge avian photography or something like that, I looked at portraiture and I always thought, it'd be great if I could take portraits but have a style that was unique to me. And there are a handful of artists, and Mary Bella is one of those artists that has a style that you look at the portrait and you go, that's a gorgeous portrait, but it's not like a cookie cutter kind of thing. It is a style. You've got a style that's unique to you.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's true. And the really great portrait artists are people that have a unique way to look at things and have a unique way to present them. And I think that people will get a lot out of your class in understanding how you look at images, how you process them, and then how they result in this artistic style that isn't something that everybody, where you kind of look and go, oh yeah, that looks like another, it looks like another picture out of same old website or same old newspaper. Yeah. And it's not that way.
I believe in storytelling, whether it is, you can take you can go outside and photograph someone against a tree. Fine. But, let's pull at the creativity. Let's pull at a little bit at storytelling, even if it's just by using simple props, by storytelling with lighting, storytelling with location, right? So it's giving your images a purpose. And not only your images, but giving your subject a purpose, giving your subject a nice way to kind of say, hey, here I am, this is my story. And so street photographers do that all the time. And I believe, thank you so much for all the nice compliments that you've given me. But I also believe in stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something completely out of your element, because it does help you to see the world in a different element. So that's another way that you can incorporate and have storytelling just by kind of playing with exercises that get you out of your element.
Well,
if that makes sense.
It does. Besides being a great co-host for today's makeshift version of The Grid, Mary Bella is a very talented portrait artist, and I think you're going to get a lot out. Just make up your own mind. Go look at her work, and you're going to go, yeah, I'm going to her class. So definitely going to be a lot of fun. We have a bunch of you guys making wonderful comments and saying nice things and winning nice prizes. And so let's jump over and start giving away a little bit more stuff. We have a copy of the Lightroom book. Yeah.
The Lightroom book is right here, and the winner for that is Nanette Stannard.
Congratulations,
Stannard.
Nanette.
Congratulations.
You will be getting that book. And the digital photography book is going to Patricia Mann. Congratulations, Patricia. Retouch for Me. We mentioned that last time around. And the winner is Lou. Lou, you just won that.
And I believe, I'm not sure if we mentioned this yet, but the On One No Noise, the winner of that is Stacy B.
Yep. And thank you for picking that one up. There's another one down here, Slick Pick. Our Slick Pick winner is Karen Risen. And next one's you.
My friends at V Flat World has given a prize to, well, not them, but they are my friends. And so, Dave Young, you've been selected to win a prize from V Flat World.
Congratulations, Dave Young. And all winners, please send an email. Here's where the email goes. Write this down. You need to send an email to say, I won, and tell them what you won, and don't make stuff up because we've got proof. But tell them what you won. Send an email to gridprize@KelbyOne.com. Gridprize@KelbyOne.com, because we need to make sure that we get your shipping address or the proper email address to send your digital version of prizes if you get something digital. And then we also want to send the book to the right place. And there's one
But before we do that, don't forget, if you've won something, please claim your prize by this Friday, please.
Oh, yeah. You got to do that.
Yes. And I don't know, there might be one more prize. I don't know.
Let's give away a ticket to Photoshop World.
You think so? You
I
think that
think we
might
ought
be?
to.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Drum roll, please.
And I'll say the person's first name and you get the rest.
Okay.
The name is Lori
McClure Smith.
Lori McClure Smith. Yay! Congratulations. You are coming to Photoshop World because you commented in the Grid comments today. You said something nice, and we are definitely going to look forward to seeing you in class with us at Photoshop World. Folks, till midnight tonight, the best price you will get on Photoshop World admission happens. It ends tonight. So you need to go to photoshopworld.com/grid. That's where you get it. And grid is all lowercase. So photoshopworld.com/grid. That's where you can sign up until midnight tonight to save $120. Any way about it, it is a fantastic investment because you get to watch some classes live. You get to watch all of them in replay for an entire year. It's a wonderful experience. Lots of learning from incredible instructors and also some just zaniness with like a late night talk show and other silly stuff. But make sure that you plan to come to the pre-conference day because there are a couple fun things that go on then, including meeting up with the instructors before everything kicks off. It's going to be a lot of fun. Photoshop World, it never ends. We're coming back all the time. Can't wait to see you at Photoshop World.
Wait to go in there and just talk to the community. I love talking to the community and just kind of answering questions and getting in there and getting all excited.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning into the Grid today. Can't wait to see you at Photoshop World. And we're going to do the Grid again next week. But Photoshop World, just once a year.
Ooh, see you there.
Photoshop World 2024, where imagination becomes reality. Come join us for 3 days of creativity, fun, and teaching. Discover the future of photo editing with the industry experts. Transform your photos with Photoshop fundamentals. Improve your Lightroom workflow. Dive into new AI, presets, and filters. Try next-level color techniques, learn creative compositing, and improve portraits with advanced retouching. Your journey to extraordinary images starts here.